you.
It's still going to be an hour show, but we'll do the Hey Ben Lawrence that people are like to listen to. Now go from there. Hey Ben Lawrence.
Paul Goody.
Hey man. So I've had a rough day. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's now 5:43 my time. It's about an hour and 45 minutes after we were supposed to start.
Yeah.
We did delay for a half an hour because I lost track of time, and then we spent the last 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes actually figuring out what's wrong on your end.
Now you're familiar with My Best Fiend? Are you at all? It's about Klaus Kinski, and it's done by Werner Herzog. It's
Nope.
a documentary about how difficult it was to work with Klaus Kinski.
No.
Oh, well, in it, there's this part where he talks about there was someone who got hurt on set, and he was worried about what Klaus would do because all of a sudden Klaus wasn't the center of attention,
Ah.
and he would need to be the center of attention, right? In this way, you were a half hour late to the podcast, and yet somehow it's actually me that's caused the most disruption. This is what I'm saying. It's
You're Klaus Kinski in this equation.
I'm Klaus Kinski, you're Werner Herzog. And in a way, isn't that great?
Very well.
I think it really does fit our we're both subdued versions.
I want to see the baby.
So no, but also at work, and I don't talk about work.
No.
But sometimes I obliquely reference work. At work, there was an issue that I ran into where, as the listeners most likely know, I am autistic, and I can get hung up on things. I got hung up on the definition of a word that people were using because they weren't using the same definition of a word. This is actually very akin to a story that Stephen McCandless tells, but in Stephen's version of it, he probably didn't have a meltdown and have to go on mute.
Can you tell us what the word?
To me.
Can you tell us what the word was?
No, I cannot. But I can tell you that, and the reason I can't tell you this is that the word isn't describing, an object or a person. It is a word that describes a system of ideas, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and this is the problem. It's a word that describes a specific system of ideas that behave in a specific order. And the person who was talking wanted to play around with that definition, and in doing so would have altered the way things operate.
And so you had to nope out of a meeting via mute and have a meltdown?
Yeah, well, and it was because they were using this incorrect definition. And I was saying we can't go forward with this discussion until we are agreeing on this definition. Because by moving forward with the meeting, you with your definition and the rest of us with the definition that's been agreed to, we can't talk about this. And I'll try to come up with a way to describe this. Okay, let's say for example, stage manager, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you say stage manager, what does that mean, Ben?
It is a person in, well, I mean, their role is, legion, but they are responsible for ensuring the show goes on in order.
Right. Now, let's say that you've hired someone as a stage manager, and they say, as stage manager, it is my job to coach the actors on how they say their lines.
Yeah.
Okay? And you say, well, no, that's not actually what you've been hired to do. And they're saying, when I operate as a stage manager, I coach the actors on how to say their lines.
That's what you get with me when you hire me.
Right. And so then whenever you say, hey, just so you know, we're going to have to let you go because you're disrupting the rehearsal process. And they say, you can't do that. I'm only operating as I'm supposed to as a stage manager. I'm doing my duty as a stage manager. And you say, well, no, you're interrupting the director and the actors to give actors line readings. And they say, that's what a stage manager does. You can't have that conversation until everyone who's talking agrees on what a stage manager is. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately,
so
you don't run into those kinds of stage managers all too often in this hypothetical.
Right. And that's the thing. So it's that type of conversation, right? I'll give you another example because I like giving examples, even though so let's say that, okay, so you're talking about filling up your car with gas, right? And for you, when you say fill up the car with gas, you take the nozzle, you open up your gas tank, put the nozzle in, fill it up with gas, put the nozzle back, close the cap on the tank, shut the tank, and you have now filled your car up with gas. My definition of fill your car up with gas is you take the nozzle out and you pour gasoline all over the car, and then you put it back. And I'm saving time because I don't have to open up the gas tank at all.
Yeah.
Right? I am more efficiently filling up my gas. I'm filling the car with gas because I've changed the definition, and it's better for everyone. It takes less time. I don't see why you're mad at me. We're both filling up the car with gas. That is another example of where a definition, if people are not agreeing with it, can be a problem.
Gosh, almost sounds like you're talking about our current political discourse.
Hey, I don't know. But in this situation, I was saying, this is the definition. We have to agree on this definition. And someone was like, well, I don't think that's the right definition, though. And I said, you may not agree. I'm not paid to come up with what this definition is. I'm paid to enforce the definition that someone else came up with. And I'm telling you what the definition is. And they're like, well, in my opinion, it should be this. And I was like, again, your opinion, I might agree with you, but it doesn't matter. This is what the definition is. And so then they turned to someone else who was a different person than me because, I was holding firm on that.
You were being obstinate.
Well, I was being intractable, yes. I would say intractable. So let's say we're talking about the covering your car with gasoline as a version of filling up your car with gas. So they turn to someone else and they say, would you not agree that in both cases you're taking gas from a gas pump and putting it into the car? And the person says, well, wait, no, I'm asking you a yes or no question. Are you putting gas into the car?
Have you or have you not ever filled up a car with gas?
At which point I would say, hey, wait, I don't like what's happening. I don't like this. You have to let them answer the full thing. And they said, respectfully, I'm not talking to you right now. And that's when I had to go on mute. Because I was... And again, I know that
all the swearing.
What, say again?
Because of all the swearing you were doing.
Well, no. I was extremely frustrated, and I really was just... What I would have done was accuse them of doing things that maybe they weren't doing. That I suspected that they were doing. Which was... because it wouldn't have been nice to the person that they were talking to. It would have been, hey, don't ask that person that question like that. They don't know that you're trying to trick them, or whatever. Accusing the person of malfeasance, then. That was kind of what I was working with today.
That was and then coming off of that frustration, then you have to deal with all this computer nonsense.
Exactly, yes. And I have this wonderful opportunity to do a Dungeons and Dragons DM for charity, which is happening, Ben, by the way, on December 18th.
Charity.
Scant 9 days away.
9 days away,
and
yes.
There's a lot of stuff that I want to do for that. Oh, and then also, I have to help my siblings craft a letter to my parents and my other sibling about how that sibling is not invited to the Christmas thing that we're holding at a different location than the house that she's staying in, which is my parents' house, because we don't want to condone the fact that she is at my parents' house.
Right.
And they want to come up with a way that accurately describes it and is nice. And I am not as interested in being nice.
You're over it.
But I also like being accurate, so I'm trying to help them as best as I can. Yeah, it's just, a lot of stresses. A lot of stresses.
Well, 'tis the season for a stressful time. I was at the dentist this morning, and I got into the dentist because I was on a cancellation list. So if somebody canceled, they were going to call me, and indeed they called me because somebody canceled. And the hygienist was saying that they get a lot of cancellations this time of year. I think people have people realize that they're too stressed out with other things during this holiday season. They can't bear to go to the dentist.
Well, and then also, now that you mention it, I got my COVID booster 72 hours ago. And I'm over the fever, but I still don't feel like 100%.
Yeah, mine kicked my butt. It really hit me a lot harder than the second dose did.
Absolutely, yeah, I would say 100%.
A little unfair.
Oh yeah, and that was one of the other things is I put a TikTok out where I was like, I get sick when I get flu shots.
Yeah.
And people say you can't get the flu from a flu shot, which is true, right? But you can still get a fever. Your body can still have a reaction to the flu shot. And it's funny because people that are normally smart don't believe you, and it's difficult. Especially, you could sound like an anti-vaccine person when you say I get sick, but the thing is, I did this post about it where here's my temperature. This is what it is. I have one. I have a fever right now. I still got it because even though I am in discomfort, I am helping out people who can't get flu shots and who can't get the boost because. I don't know. I mean, it could be the flu shot was the thing that gave me the fever.
Well,
possible,
there's a
Lewis, it has in the past.
There's a Lewis Black routine where he talks about how the flu shot doesn't give you the flu, but it gives you a cold.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
So this is this is not just a Paul Goody experience. It seems to be somewhat not universal, but at least you and Lewis Black have this in common.
And so this guy says. You're not helping anybody. You can still spread it. How do you guys not understand this? ? And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So I went, of course, to Jennifer Fact Checker, my wife, Jennifer Pratt. And I was like, that's wrong, right? She's like, yeah, he's dumb. So I feel.
You mean somebody on the internet was dumb?
And here's the thing. This is the thing. Is that a lot of my assertions I make from personal experience, right? So if I get a flu shot and I end up getting a fever, I don't say I don't like getting flu shots, they give me the flu. I say I don't like getting flu shots. When I get a flu shot, I get a fever. And then if someone comes back at me and says, you can't get the flu from a flu shot, it's a dead virus. Okay. I understand this. I'm not saying I get the flu. I'm saying that when I get a flu shot, I get a fever. And they say correlation is not causation. And I say, I also understand that. In the times that this has happened, it has always happened relatively the same way. I am not a scientific person. I just noticed that this happens. And so, Ben, and this is the important thing, it's a new thing that I'm trying out, and so far it's working great. I recommend it to anyone. If you cannot explain what is happening, in the case of, for instance, vaccines in general, getting a vaccine, allowing someone to give you a vaccine for something. If you don't know what a vaccine does or is, but someone else does, you can listen to that person who knows something. And this is where trust comes in, and I get it. Why would you trust anyone who isn't you and all that? But trust that they're doing it for a reason. And I know it's hard. It's hard for me to trust people, but I also know that it's difficult for me to know everything. And so you have two ways to kind of deal with it. You can either, have a hard time, or you can trust people and maybe things will go okay. And so far, the things I've trusted people on, which include the plantar's warts I had on my feet, and also getting flu shots and stuff. I didn't get the flu last year. I often do, but I didn't, and I got the flu shot. Now, correlation is not causation. I get it, but I think the flu shot helped. My plantar's warts went away after I went to the dermatologist. There are people who know things that I don't know, and when I listen to them, things sometimes turn out better.
Well, but I think you're making a smart choice about who to listen to. I mean, you're not going to listen to Joe Rogan about what to do with your feet. You're going to listen to a dermatologist.
I'm sorry. I just hey Joe Rogan, tell me what to do with my feet. Why don't you? It's a bad situation that I was imagining. Right, Ben, I can't take it. You put it in my head, and now it's too late. I'm imagining Joe Rogan looking me up on WikiFeet. WikiFeet, by the way, Ben.
I'm real
not
thing?
on WikiFeet. I checked.
Is that a real thing?
WikiFeet? Absolutely, it's a real thing.
I'm not going to look it up. I'll have to trust you that it exists.
Yeah, that's why I checked myself out on it. Because it's tied to IMDb, apparently.
What?
But, yeah, I'm not on.
Well, cool. Look me up. Am I on WikiFeet? Because I
let's see.
I have a couple IMDb credits.
Just so that you know, now WikiFeet GudeLaurance is going to be in my... So I'm looking at wikifeet.com. Celebrity search, Ben Lawrence.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you that earlier on we had some interaction in the YouTube chat. A fellow by the name of Ryan Peterson. Do you know who this is?
Brian Peterson?
Ryan Peterson.
Ryan Peterson. Do you know who Ryan Peterson is?
I do not.
Oh, interesting.
Ryan does not appear to still be with us because
why would he be?
Nobody, exactly. But when we were talking about what a stage manager does, he says manages the stage, and then you said, would the stage manager tell the actors how to say their lines? And Ryan said it would be honest, since rehearsing with actors is a part of managing a stage. So a director is basically a stage manager also, and so is an actor. They all manage the stage. So how do you feel about Ryan's positions on the roles and duties of a stage manager versus an actor and a director?
So Ryan, I don't know if you're still listening. If you are, my goodness, I think you're the first person to honestly listen to the show that we don't know personally. And if I should know you personally, if I know you by another name, I apologize.
Maybe it's a TikTok
starting out with that
fan of yours.
But you bring up a very good point, because this is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. That when you are in a group of specialized people who are dealing with the thing. So in this case, let's say you're in a group of theater people.
Yeah.
And Ben and I are. This is actually a great illustration, Ryan. Thank you. Ben and I both know what a stage manager is. It is a specific term for a specific person that is doing something different. A stage manager is not the director. A stage manager is not the actors. A stage manager is not the lighting designer. A stage manager has a specific role. Same thing, stage manager is not a prop manager. A prop manager manages all the props that are on the stage, but that does not make them a stage manager. Stage manager has a specific set of duties. Calling places is oftentimes one of the duties of the stage manager, especially in a small theater. In a larger theater, they might send someone else to do it. Right, Ben, you would say?
Or just call it over the intercom.
But Ben and I, when we talk about stage manager, we have that shorthand. So if we were having a conversation and you were there, Ben and I would have to take time out of the discussion that we were having and get us all on the same page about what a stage manager means in the context of what we were talking about. And if instead we spend the amount of time that we have going over your idea about what a stage manager is and what a stage manager could be, we're not going to get anything else done. And maybe, especially if we're friends and we're hanging out and all that, that's fine. But if we're in a business and we only have a short period of time to get through a larger discussion, having that same definition is essential. And therefore, something that if I can't, I'm getting worked up about it again, sorry. If I can't trust that everyone is using the same definition, and in fact, if somebody is actively not only arguing with me, but trying to manipulate someone else to use a different definition, crazy making. Sets me off. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to just address one of his
Speaking
points.
Of crazy making, hey, buddy!
I'm going to address one of his points in that it would be rehearsing with the actors as part of managing a stage. Though it's specific, the specific example brought up is telling an actor how to say his lines, right? Now, if during the rehearsal process, a director tells an actor, when you deliver this line, I want you to say it this way. And when the show opens and the director leaves and the actor starts drifting away from that specific way the director has told him to say the lines, the stage manager is within their definition, is within their job duties to go to that actor, give them a little note. This is how I've been given line notes, little printed pieces of paper that's been cut out, has a line. It doesn't say how to say the line, but it's like, this is a line you need to work on.
Wow. Yeah. And Ben, can we talk about how you would feel if a director gave you a specific line reading?
Now, here's the thing. A lot of actors hate that. Some like it. I'm actually one of those actors who, if you have a way you want me to say a line, tell me how you want me to say it.
Hey, hi.
Hey, Betty. You and I ran into that same thing where you and I, Ben, both have that reaction, and a lot of other actors don't.
Yeah. But sometimes And Betty, I'm going to tell you this,
What's
but
up?
I'm telling this to your dad. Sometimes directors will ask if they
Look at
can
how
give
close
you
we
a
are to
line
the end.
reading.
Okay.
And finally yelling for Betty. Hey, Betty.
Hello.
How's it going?
Sorry if I'm not like as energetic as I usually am. You guys are recording this at a later time than usual, so
I
I'm
know.
a little
Ask
tired.
your dad why.
Why is this super late, Dad?
We have had trouble with the microphones.
And I was late too. So it's both our faults. It's just it's a confluence of events.
So, in news,
Yeah.
last weekend we watched the entirety of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. All 12 of the episodes that are out so far.
That was at like 6-7 hours of are they half-hour episodes or hour-long episodes?
They're like 24, 25 minutes long.
So that's a good day of watching TV.
It was over the period of three days.
Ah, gotcha. You didn't watch it all like in one sitting.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that with the English dub though, because I want to experience it in both terms.
Oh, is it what language? Is it in Japanese?
Yep.
Okay. I gotcha.
It's very good. My favorite characters are Foo Fighters and Weather Report.
Foo Fighters?
Yeah. There's
Wow.
a character named Foo Fighters, and they are a colony of plankton that are inhabiting a dead girl's body.
Do they chase
And aren't we all?
UFOs?
What?
I don't suppose they chase UFOs, do they?
No, it's actually just a reference to the band.
Oh, it is a reference to the band. Okay. And the band is named after a group who chase UFOs.
Yeah. And Weather Report is named after the band Weather Report.
I did not know there was a band called Weather Report.
Or I'm pretty sure it's a band, but it may be something else. And he is a almost 40-year-old man with a very fuzzy hat, and his power's name is Weather Report, and he can control the weather.
And with that,
Oh, are we done?
yeah, we're Betty.
Okay, goodbye.
Tell people to keep
Bye.
it wrong.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Ah! Oh, God.
Never. So okay. Thank you everyone for listening. And I know it may seem rushed, but you missed out on all of the time that we were using to come up with
Yeah.
the other things.
If you want to listen to Paul just trying to troubleshoot on his own, then go back and listen to the show however you get your podcasts from the very beginning.
That's right. And yeah, so Ben, I guess what Ben and I are saying is if you want us to read a line a certain way for you, just tell us exactly how you want to do it, and we will continue to try to do it that way.
Yeah.
But you may have to deal with, at least with me asking you several other times, because I'll lose it eventually. But yeah, other actors hate it when you tell them how to read lines, so be careful.
And this directing tip brought to you by the GudeLaurance podcast. Hey, Paul, it's the end of another show. I want you to keep it wrong.
Hey, Ben, I want you to keep it wrong also. And thanks to Ryan Peterson. Is that right? Ryan Peterson, is that right?
Ryan Peterson.
Our first non-Steven interactor who was not horribly anti-Semitic.
Indeed.
In 2021.
Yeah.
So thank you.
This penultimate 2021 show, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and hey, sorry to anyone else who might have called in. I don't think there is anyone else, but if there is, and And we know you. I'm sorry if I implied that you were horribly anti-Semitic if you weren't the guys who were horribly anti-Semitic.
They know who they are.
They know who they are. All right. Hey, thanks, Ben.
All right, Paul. Talk to you later.
Yep, keep it wrong.
Yeah, keep it wrong.
And remember to keep the